Hey guys, what up? My name is Noctigal, and I'm here at work at about 5 a.m. on January 11th, I believe it is. Um, don't really know what to expect much today. It's probably just going to be a slow one. Well, so I guess I probably do know what to expect then. I'm a little tired if you hadn't noticed. Yeah, it's pretty rainy again today. I mean that's typical for Oregon, but it's definitely been a bit heavier lately. I feel like, but it's a bit windy, a bit rainy. Probably gonna need my coat today. Uh, but hey, as long as it's raining, that means I don't have to clean down the pumps. So that's something to look forward to is not cleaning the pumps. But other than that, yeah, I'll just keep you posted throughout the day.
So I just finished pumping gas for a car that was from out of state, from Washington specifically, and he asked for unleaded gas, and it made me think about the fact that a lot of people ask for unleaded gasoline when they're asking for unleaded, they just want regular typically. Um, and I was wondering why that is. Like it seems odd to me, considering the fact that lead hasn't been in gasoline since I think 1988 or something like that, or 1985 or something like that. I know the EPA like mandated a ban on it at a certain point, but I think it took a couple years to come into effect or something like that. Like I think it's somewhere in between there, like 1985 to 1988, somewhere around there. You can fact check me if you want, though. Anyway, lead has not been allowed in gasoline for decades, so I don't know why so many people, especially younger people too, they don't even always have to be older adults. Will oftentimes ask for unleaded gasoline, but we don't. But like, of course, I mean, it's all unleaded. Do you want regular, mid grade, or premium? And that's the part that's odd to me is because if you just ask for unleaded but you want mid grade like plus, or if you want premium fuel, then you may not get it. So like so when people ask for unleaded fuel, I always clarify and ask regular, and then they're like yep. But this guy that I just talked to, I was like, you mean regular? And he's like, yep, unleaded regular. And I was like, okay, okay, dude, it's okay. It's all unleaded, but okay. And so I just wonder why that is, because I know that some gas stations still just say unleaded. They'll be like, oh, unleaded gas, because they just don't have anything other than regular. But it's odd to me that they would just advertise themselves as being unleaded rather than saying we have regular. Because I almost went to a gas station one time that said that just because it said unleaded, because I didn't think that they were going to be making a statement about what type of gas they actually had. So I almost got gas from a place that I couldn't go because my car requires premium fuel, and so I couldn't go to this gas station, and I almost got gas from there though because I thought that they had premium, but it was just because they had unleaded and they just had different prices for cash and debit. So I just it was partially my fault, obviously, but it's still something that doesn't make much sense to me considering it hasn't been something that's happened for decades. No, there's no lead in gasoline, so I don't know why we have to advertise that it's unleaded. Well, I mean, we don't even like in my gas station we don't advertise that it's unleaded. We because it should be assumed. I mean, we are. I mean, it says that we have 10% ethanol in our gas, but it doesn't say anything about lead because lead is illegal. But I do know a place in the small town where I live. There's two gas stations, and one of them doesn't say unleaded at all, and the other one does say unleaded, and that's all they have. I think is unleaded, like regular and maybe premium. I actually think they might have premium. It's just really expensive because it's non-ethanol. I don't think they have mid grade. No, they should have mid grade. They have mid grade, I believe. Regardless, though, it all says unleaded. It all makes sure to let you know that it's unleaded gasoline. And I just find that kind of fascinating because I've never like it definitely happens from people out of state, and I actually wonder if that has anything to do with it. I'm wondering somehow if a lot of people from out of state, if the gas stations there somehow still say unleaded, and I don't know if that would just be because some of the gas stations would be older, maybe because of self-serve, or what the reasoning for that would be, but it got my curiosity going because it's something that a lot of people say, and I mean I live here in Oregon, and a lot of Oregonians will even say it, and I don't know if it's just because like I know that maybe I don't know, maybe some rural areas maybe just say that because of the older pumps. I'm not entirely sure though. I have some guesses, but I obviously don't know the entire reasoning behind it. But yeah, no, I mean, I know it's a bit of an odd thing to talk about, but it was just interesting to me, and I don't know, I just wanted to say something about it because I don't really understand why so many people are going to say unleaded, because that's not something that I ever said before since I've been driving or since I've had a vehicle. I always say premium, and I don't say unleaded premium because I know that there is no lead in the gasoline. That's not an additive that exists in gasoline anymore. So, yeah, I guess that's about it. So this morning, I've already had 2 people drive off when I told them that they were going to have to prepay cash inside. So I guess the saga continues of people being frustrated about this. The first person that I told did this, I told them that they had to prepay inside, and I hadn't opened their gas cap or anything like that yet, and they just drove away. They just looked at me, and I think they asked really, and then just drove away. And so that was numero uno. That one was pretty anticlimactic. It was funny at the time though, because I didn't know what was going to happen, but he just drove right off. And then the second person was this woman that just pulled up in a Prius, I believe. Yeah, she was in a Prius. This older lady, and she had like, I think, 2 or 3 $20 bills in her hand, and she asked me to fill it, and I told her that, and especially considering the fact that I had other vehicles out here to wait on, I told her that she was going to have to go inside to prepay. Because if it's not busy, I will take the cash inside to do the prepay for you, because that's really simple and quick. But I told her that she was going to have to go inside to prepay, and she just got this horrified look on her face, and like turned her head towards the store, looked at the store, and then looked back at me. She's like, I'm not gonna go in there. And I was like, I'm sorry, what was that? And she's like, I'm not gonna get gas here. I'm not gonna go in. She's like, sorry. And so I close her gas cap, and I just walk away, because I don't care. Like, it's just ridiculous to me that she wasn't willing to do that. But I mean, you know what? If you're not gonna do it, then that's also fine with me. I mean, yeah. Again, I said that before. It's your prerogative. So she went on her way. And I didn't have to deal with that. But I was thinking about the fact that even if she had given me the cash and asked for a fill, if this is what typically used to happen, if I was going to fill it up with cash, she's going to give me a certain amount of money, and then it's probably not going to take as much money as she has. Like, let's say she has $40. I know she has $40. If I were to run her $40 and her car had not filled up all the way with $40, then I would have had to go back inside to get change for her anyway. So the issue here is that no matter what, someone is going to have to go inside to get the change or do a prepay, or both. And so the system hasn't changed that much, but it changed just enough to where people are getting pretty upset by it pretty often, it would seem. So I'm really intrigued with the idea of starting a podcast, or maybe multiple podcasts. The reason I say possibly multiple is the fact that I'm going to school for psychology right now, and it's a major focus in my life right now, and so it's something that I could easily talk about, and I could talk extensively about it, and I could do many episodes on it, and it would just also help solidify information for me, both in and out of school. And so that was kind of one of my ideas, is that I really do kind of want to talk about psychology, especially since I plan on doing forensic psychology, so I can talk about fun things like interrogation and child custody battles and serial killers and psychopaths and just court dealings like that. Like, it's all about psychology dealing with the legal system. And then, but at the same time, I'm also intrigued by a lot of other things. Like, I'm a lover of a lot of other sciences. I love history. I love politics. I mean, movies, culture, books. I pay attention to a lot. So part of me is also just thinking about having just a Noctigal brand podcast as well as a psychology themed podcast, perhaps. And then you can kind of get a bit of a different genre from each. And then I would have more freedom, I would feel like, with my other podcast if I were to make a psychology podcast, because the psychology podcast would be very streamlined, and it would have very specific topics. But my Noctigal podcast, perhaps like my other podcast, if I were to make it as well, would most likely feature a wide range of topics. Because one of the big things, especially right now, that I'm into is film and TV dissection, like and analyses. Not necessarily reviewing them, but talking about the characters and the themes, and just how they interplay. And I actually have also kind of been looking at the psychology of fictional characters as well. And so I plan on doing some work with that in the future. So stay tuned for all of that if you're interested, guys. Okay, so this is something that's been pissing me off a lot lately. So something that happens pretty often is that if we get pretty busy around here, and since I'm the only person at the pumps, what can happen is that someone may be done pumping and then they have to wait on me for a moment to hang them up. And in some instances, I understand it. I understand why they hang themselves up, and if they're from out of state, I have a bit more leniency with it. But especially with for people that live in state, I don't really have as much of a tolerance for it because they know that it is illegal for them to pump their own gas. And I understand it's probably not as big of a deal either for them to hang it back up, but it's just something that always perturbs me a little bit. Especially since half the time when they're doing it, I'm already there. Like I'm either on my way to hang them up, or I am literally like steps away from them. Like just a moment ago, I was steps away from hanging this man up, and he walked over and hung it up himself, and closed up his gas cap and everything. And I know that part of the reason that people do it is for expediency, for speed. They want to get out of here quicker. The only thing about that, though, is that half the time it would probably be faster for me to hang them up, because other times that means they have to either it usually means they have to get out of their car, walk around their car, and go hang themselves up, close the gas cap, and then get back in the car and drive. Whereas if they just wait a moment, I'll be there in just a couple seconds, 30 seconds to a minute or less, and then I'll have it hung up for them and they can just drive off. And I understand it's probably it can be around the same time, but usually, especially like a day like today, it's not busy. So this gentleman had no excuse to hang up the pump himself. I was steps away from him, and I didn't know what to say, and it just frustrated me because this happens to me so often. And I usually just feel like it's very disrespectful, especially when I'm coming over to hang you up, or like when I'm the one who pumped it for you in the first place. It always seems very disrespectful, as if you don't care about my job. And I know that they don't probably care about my job, but they can at least respect the fact that I am here to do that for them. Like, they don't have to do it themselves. And so it just ended up frustrating me. And so when I saw that he was hanging up himself, I kicked one of the trash cans out here by the pumps, and it just made a huge fucking bang because when I kicked it, it slammed it into a wall, and when it slammed it into a wall, it made a very loud echo essentially out of the pumps, and so that was a bit of a frustrating moment for me. I didn't say anything to the gentleman, though. I didn't think that was necessary. I just kind of mean mugged him when he was leaving, and that's typically what I do. Is that if people if they hang up the pumps themselves when they're not supposed to, I typically will just kind of shake my head at you, or I'll like give you a disapproving look or something like that, or I'll like stare at you while you leave. I mean, if they're a big asshole about it, then yeah, I'll actually like say something about like us being full serve, but it's typically not as big of a deal as someone actually starting to pump the gas themselves. Hanging it up isn't the most detrimental part of that. But yeah, no, this guy just frustrated me. And then when he got in his car, he looked at me and he just like he like did this little thing where he like wiped his hands clean, almost like to show that he did it himself. And I just shook my head at him and walked away, and he drove off. And that's that. And so, who knows? Maybe that'll happen more today. I think that was the first time it happened today. It usually happens several times a day, so I usually get kind of annoyed several times a day by just that occurrence. But yeah, that guy in particular today really got my goat. Well, guess what? Another gas purchase lost. Gone to the winds. To another gas station they went. Yeah, she wanted $20. Told her she was going to have to prepay inside because I had other cars waiting on me. And she kind of was like that other woman I talked about recently, where she she was similar in the fact that what she said to me, she's like, so I'd like have to go inside then, and I told her, I was like, yep, it's prepay inside, and she's like, oh, okay, I think I'm just gonna go to Chevron. I mean, she was closer to my age, so she did actually kind of sound like that. But it was, I mean, that's at least the third time that's happened today. Keep you posted if any more of those happen. Wow. Okay. So this gentleman that just pulled up to get diesel, he wanted to do 30 diesel on cash, and so I told him he was gonna have to prepay inside, and he went fucking ballistic. He's like, "Are you fucking telling me that I'm gonna have to go inside for this shit?" And he's like, put the gas cap back on. He's like, if I fucking wanted to go fucking pay inside, blah, blah, blah. I like didn't even fucking understand what he was saying. He was just so angry, and he was mumbling, and he was just turning into nonsense. I don't even think he really knew what he was saying. But he fucking sped away. He slammed on the gas when he left. He was so angry by the fact that I couldn't do the cash out here at the pumps. He was infuriated. And so I just said, sorry, sir, that's just how it works around here. And then I walked away because I wasn't going to deal with that. But yeah, and then he drove away real fast after that. So that was a fun time. I mean, made me laugh more than it upset me, so I guess that's a good thing. Well, my shift is just about over, so I think that's going to be about it for today, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.